Welcome to Backyard Bose. Hey, welcome to Backyard Bose. I'm Brandon, and today we got the NV3. So this is a part of the Blackout line that Basspro and Cabela's sell. And I got a lot to say about the entire buying experience from Basspro, as well as this bow, which I think I found a gem in the NV3, and maybe the whole NV line from the past couple years. I really love this bow, and I'll go in more depth on the bow here in just a second, but I went to Basspro to get something else, and this is a newer Basspro, and it was jam-packed, and what I noticed was that there was a lot of people buying bows. There was a ton of people in the archery section. I don't want to say what type of guy I thought was there, but they all seem very similar, and they're all in the archery section, and a lot of them are buying bows, asking questions. You got about 3, 4, 5 different staff members kind of helping these people out. I'm listening to some of the conversations, and then I thought, man, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go into Basspro like I know as little about bows and archery as possible, and I'm gonna see what kind of service I'm getting. I walk in, there was a really, really nice young lady in the archery section, so she's the one that mainly helped me, even though I got to kind of interact with 3 different employees. And she was very nice. She was very helpful, okay? She was attentive. You know, she tried to sell me on a couple different bows. You know, you could tell that she had a bow in mind. Right when I said, hey, I'm looking for a package, she said, oh, come right over here. And she pointed me into a bow that she recommended. And then I said, hey, I'm looking kind of for a higher end bow. And then again, she goes straight over to a bow. And this is out of like hundreds of bows that they have hanging there. She kind of knew exactly what she wanted to sell me on. Maybe those are bows that she knew the most about. I'm not really sure. I think when it comes to the employees that are working in these places, it's kind of hit or miss. You're either going to get somebody who knows a fair amount about archery. It's like their passion themselves, and they found themselves working in that kind of industry. Or you find somebody who might have learned last week and they kind of gave them the rundown, and you can tell that they don't have a ton of knowledge. They can't answer a ton of your questions. And again, I would steer clear of those people. I would try to find somebody who knows as much as they're talking about, especially if you have to wait on the one person who kind of seems to know the most. But if you go back to the Basic Bowman Series 1 that I put out on trying to find a bow shop, what you need to bring into a bow shop, I would watch that video if you're new to bow hunting. Even if you want to go into a Bass Pro and buy a bow, I think that video will give you ample knowledge to kind of go in and kind of ask the right questions, give the right information. I have a bow buying experience that I would recommend to a first-time bow buyer, but if that's what's close to you and that's kind of where you want to go, or they're holding the bow that you're kind of interested in, you want to go look, go in there, just kind of have a little bit in mind of what you're getting into. And so I found 2 different bows. One is it's Cabela's brand, Cabela's Indoor, and then the other is the Blackout, which is kind of their line of bows, which I learned a ton. I didn't know any of this, I don't know how, but I learned a ton about the Blackout line and kind of these top tier bows that Basspro has in store. So I think the best bow I found in Basspro was the Bear Adapt. That was, out of all the bows that I found in there, the Bear Adapt is the one that I would go to. That's what I would recommend. That's probably the most solid bow they have in there besides this Blackout line. And so what I realized is the Blackout line in Basspro is pretty much just, you know, the Blackout targets are made by Reinhardt. So the Reinhardt targets slap Blackout logo on them. Same with like everything. The Blackout arrows, I think, are Hunter Pros, you know, and then you have, you know, tons of different Blackout stuff that is like their brand, but it's pretty much just manufactured by other companies, sold then probably in mass bulk to Basspro, and they slap their own label on it, call it this Blackout line. Same with these Blackout bows. So what you have here is an Elite bow. And if you know me, you watch my videos, I love Elite. I have loved everything that they've put out recently. You're pretty much, with this Blackout NV3, you are pretty much getting an Elite bow without the SEC technology. So, which I love, because if that's not something that you're going to utilize anyway, you don't like working on your bows, that's not something that you think is valuable to you, you are getting a really, really nice price decrease for almost the exact same quality of a bow with all of the same everything. I mean, you got the same mod, the same let-off options, the 1/4-inch increments on your module system. You have really, really nice aluminum machine limb pockets, a really nice riser. I love the grip, everything about these bows, which we'll cover all in just one second, but you're getting an Elite bow. and a really, really nice one, to be honest with you. The specs on this thing are awesome. You got 33 inches axle to axle, 6-inch brace height, 4.5 pounds. You have a 50 to 60 pound option. You have a 60 to 70 pound option. And then you have 23.5 all the way out to 30.5 on that draw length in the 4th inch increments that Elite has put on some of these past bows, these latest bows. And then you have a huge variety of let-off options from 70% all the way up to 90% and 5% increases. So you got 5 different spaces that that allows you to adjust that let-off, which we'll talk in depth about in a second and why I love that so much. You have that really nice cable guard that adjusts left, right. You can kind of use it for fine-tuning a broadhead, vane clearance. I love that that's adjustable. Really, really nice cable roller guard system there. And then again, the rest of the riser, everything is super clean. And then on top, you get $340 on the IBO. And like I just mentioned a second ago, it's $899. So you got $1,250 for the latest Elite bow, which is the Omnia. And then you have a very, very similar setup, all of the same features except for that set technology. I think this is gonna be a shooter. I think this is a gem. I think I found something, and I love that I have a place to share this kind of stuff, because when you find something that you just are like, man, this is awesome, all you want to do is share it if you're like me, and now I have this platform in place to share it at Backyard Bows, and I think this is just such a great bow for those of you out there who have that maybe a little bit less budget. You don't want to spend more than $1,500 all set up. And that's kind of your max, and you're pushing it. So you buy a $1,250 bow, that leaves you no room. So here you got an Elite bow, and if you don't mind that it says Blackout on it, you have the exact same bow, and they did that with a lot of stuff. So you got the Cabela's brand. I think those are made by Bear. You know, you have other bows that were in the shop that you could tell it was a different brand, but it was made by another company. And so they kind of did that with a whole bunch of different, not a whole bunch, but a couple different featured lines. And one of them is this Blackout line. So I love this. I love this. Let's just go ahead and we'll just touch on everything real quick. Really nice limbs and limb pockets, nice wide platform on the limbs, the actual limb pocket. I love the grip on these Elites. You have a really, really nice clean riser. This one actually reminds me more of the Envision than the Omnia. A little bit more of a vertical riser with a slight slant to those limbs. You got some limb dampeners, which I haven't seen. This is kind of a different, it's called Pine Ridge Archery. Those are placed between the limbs. I like those. Those are real like a nice hard rubber. Again, you got that cable guard, string stop on the end of the string stop. You have some dampeners there, which I always love to see. And then if you go down to the cam and module system, you have that same, the mod is what gave it away for me when I was looking at this. I was like, man, this is an Elite bow. And she's like, yeah. You know, she kind of was like, yeah, they kind of make bows, give them to us, and we slap Blackout on them. But then you have that module system and that let-off, and that whole system right there is what kind of gave it away to me because I was so familiar with that. But a really nice shaped cam. I think this is going to be a fairly smooth bow. The other guy that was kind of helping me out and interacting with me said that this is one of the best shooting bows he's had. Again, I don't know if he's sitting there trying to sell me a bow, but he seemed like he knew a little bit more about archery bows, bow hunting than the lady did. But, you know, he said this is one of their best selling bows and one of the best, smoothest bows that he has pulled back, you know, in years. So I don't know if he only shoots and stuff at Cabela's, but you know, who knows? Can't shoot the bows in-house unless you buy them, okay? So, and that kind of makes sense. People were getting back there, they were dry firing bows, fucking stuff up, messing bows, and then you know, then not purchasing them and walking out. So what they did is they kind of changed it all around where if you purchase a bow, then they can take you in the back and they'll help you set it up. They'll help you dial it into 20. They'll get your peep, their D-loop, all that set up on there. But you got to buy the bow first. So a little bit backwards of a system, but I do understand the reasons and why. I went and let her set up. I kind of wanted to see everything. So I went and let her put my peep in. I let her install my D-loop. And she did a fairly good job. So all of it is, I just kept it in here. I like the way it's all tied in. It all looks really nice. She actually did a good job. And then you also have winner's choice strings on these. So the same thing as all the Elites. You know, you got the winner's choice strings. And then let's go ahead and let's go back to that module and cam system real quick. So you got the 1/4 inch increments, which I do love because as you adjust that let off, because we all like to hold at various weights, you can adjust the let off so that you don't have to sacrifice as much on your draw length. I love that whole system. I think it works perfectly together, being able to let off, make those micro adjustments. I also do love they have these limb stops, a little bit different system, so it doesn't actually land on the limb. There's like this little backboard on the back of the limbs where kind of that gives you that really, really nice solid back wall. There's one that comes with it for top and bottom. You got 2 bored out holes for your rest. You got a couple different elevated holes for your sight, and then you got your holes for your risers. I mean, the thing, it's really nice. I really like it. I don't know. I think you like for $8.99. I think it's probably going to be one of the better bows out here, and I'm actually going to categorize it as a flagship bow. So it's probably the least expensive flagship bow that we've gotten in here. So let's go ahead. Let's fling a couple. And again, this guy told me this was one of the smoothest bows that he's drawed back. So this is at 70 pounds, 30 inches. I can't wait to get it through that chronograph test. We're going to step outside. Deer season has begun. It started yesterday. I was blessed to take a really, really nice 12-point. I think I only sat for like three or 4 hours in the tree stand once I finally got in, and everything played out perfectly to me. But the weather is changing. It's really nice and cool outside. So we'll get outside. We'll shoot a whole bunch. But I think this is a find. I think this is a shooter. I think it's a good find. We got that Trophy Ridge Whisker Biscuit on there, Shrewd Stabilizer, that CBE Trek Micro, or that CBE Micro. Tactic Micro. But man, this whole bow all set up, you know, you're looking at a little over $1,000 just like this. I think, and right now with as expensive as things are, you can get up, you know, if you fully set up you know, some of these bows that you see online, you're looking at $2,500, $2,700, $3,000 for a setup. Man, this is I think going to be a really solid, you know, setup for little over 1,000. So okay, so right now I have it on 90% let off, so a little bit of dump at the end. It's a little stiff at the beginning. I think as I adjust that let off, maybe down to 80 or 85, I think that'll smooth out a little bit the transition. But it does have a little, you know, little dump, little jerk at the end. But again, I love that you can modify that with that let off, and sometimes it really, really smooths out nice. And I know on the Elites, like shooting it from 90 to 80 to 85, it's like night and day. So that, you know, make sure when you pick up a bow in a bow shop and you do pull it back, realize what that let off is at, because it can really change the way that draw cycle feels by adjusting it. And then again, when you anticipate it, it smooths out a little bit. Little vibration in your hand, maybe a little bit more than you would want to see or than some of these other bows see, but I think it balances nice. You know, the limb pockets and limbs are nice and wide. It has a good stable platform here. That draw cycle I know is going to smooth out over the day. Yeah, I mean, it has a good amount of vibration in your hand. It has a nice back wall. I don't even have the limb stops on here, but it holds real nice at full draw once you get back. It does have a little bit of a hump kind of towards the end, kind of dumps on you a little bit. And then it is nice and stiff in the beginning. And I wonder if, you know, these are some of the first shots, so I wonder if that'll smooth out a bit too. But it's a good pull. It's a good stiff pull. Man, I love like when you find something that you're like, and again, I didn't know this was in there. So even me who do all these reviews and we're kind of like in depth into the bow hunting world, for some reason it kind of just went right past my radar. I had heard of Blackout, didn't really understand and know what it was, or kind of how Cabela's and Bass Pro run their archery shop, because that's just where I was never in there. And I think in my mind, I would have never gone in there. And then once I realized, like, oh, people are actually coming in here and buying bows and seeking out advice, I wanted to kind of just get that whole experience. And so, again, I still stand by what I would want you to find if you're buying a bow. But if that is the option you have, just make sure that you ask a lot of questions, you're prepared. You don't just let them sell you on something. Kind of go in there with a little bit of knowledge beforehand, you know, and then buy the bow, go into the back, shoot it, set it up, and if you don't like it, you can return it. They got a 60-day return policy. So I guess that's what I would do, you know, in that case as well, just so you can shoot the bow. But let's go outside. Let's shoot a whole bunch. So on to the Freestyle Shoot. We got a whole bunch of 3D targets. We'll get after it. One thing I'll say is when you tinker with the let-off options on these kind of elite style bows with that cam and mod, each let-off option, the draw cycle and the hold will drastically change, which I always thought maybe it might be a little bit, but it is very, very different. So if you want to hold it less weight, you're going to kind of have to sacrifice in that little bitty dump at the end. It's not as smooth, but if you want to smooth out that, you know, draw cycle and make it real nice and linear, you'll kind of have to put a little bit more effort into holding it back. So you can mess with it and kind of see where it feels most comfortable to use. So I did the single shot assessment with it on 90% let off. I dialed it back down to 85. It smoothed it out just a little bit. But with as much as we're going to shoot today, I wanted it to hold with little effort as possible. So let's go. We'll go buck 30, and then we'll go bores at 35. This is the exact distance that buck was I shot on opening day. It was like 33 yards. This buck is at 45. The first buck is quartering away, that's perfect. That's like right where I would have wanted him to be. So this next buck is kind of quartering to me, and there was a split between these two oak trees, and the trail kind of right at that point either goes up the ridge or down the ridge kind of closer to me. And I didn't know which way he was going to go, so I picked my spot and I stopped. You know, I ended up he actually ended up stopping himself right between these oak trees and gave me a shot. So even though he was quartering to me, I decided to take it. And that's about right where I hit him, and the arrow seemed to go in, and then I don't know, it kind of kicked to the left because it was kind of sticking out that backside. So I think it hit a rib, went in that way, but he didn't go very far. I think when he stepped, he broke his leg, which helped me out because he didn't run very far. He ended up running right under my stand. If you haven't watched that video, it's kind of cool. It's the first footage I've ever put on, kind of got while I was hunting. Hunting and filming is an art. It's very tough, and I'm still learning. So hopefully this year we'll have a little bit more footage for you, but it's tough. So let's go over to the other side and we'll shoot some longer range shots. All right, so something I have tried to do, the more and more I've done backyard bows and the more interaction I've had with you guys, is I realized that, man, people have hard budgets that they really want to meet. They really want to get themselves in the wood, but they honestly, they just can't justify spending some money. And I have taken a little side job at a local bow shop just on the weekends, just trying to help out through hunting season. And something I've really realized is that guys will come in there and they don't want to spend more than $1,000. They want to max out at $1,000. Man, this is an awesome bow for $1,000. The sight's about 85 bucks. Whisker biscuit's nice and cheap. You can throw any stabilizer on there. There you go. Nice hunting rig, very high quality. And what they want for the $1,000 is they want a bow that they can shoot year after year, season after season, and they don't have to go in and purchase another bow. I think this is a great bow for that. Meet your budget, you get nice quality, it performs nice. So let's climb this 3D ladder. We'll go turkey 20. Coyote 25. And then I liked it, I think, most at like 75 or 80% let off, but I moved it back just so I can hold, maybe shoot a little bit more today, but that's where it was the smoothest to me. That one went through that heart that I've kind of beat out over the past couple months with those broadheads, tuning those broadheads. We'll go Gray Wolf 35. Okay, we'll set up on those bears for that full draw stall. All right, so now on to the Mama Black Bear. So I've shot in a ton of broadheads at that broadhead buck, and that's where that arrow went right through that hole that I've been kind of beating out. But for the most part, these Reinhardt targets, especially the ones that are a little bit more expensive, the more realistic sized ones, man, they're awesome. You really can't beat them. I've shot so many arrows at these targets, and they've all held their own, which is nice. So you don't have to keep buying targets. And I leave them out here so they get weathered too. Let's go Mama Black Bear 40 yards. I like shooting at that black bear. I'm just going to shoot another one real quick. I think one thing, I think you can, it's at 85, so it holds nice, but I mean, it does want to jump a little on you. It kind of rides forward just a hair. So a little strain goes into holding it at full draw. So now it really kind of is going to be magnified as we do this full draw stall. So I just watched a video, it was like a hunting public video, and it was titled like stall for 6 minutes. So, and that's a really long time. And again, the last thing you want to do, especially if they're kind of onto you, locked onto you, is kind of redraw the bow, you know, draw it back down. That's like automatic. You're going to see white flags, you know, and he's just going to be running away. So you want to be able to hold it comfortably for as long as you can, but then also when the time comes, be able to reset, get stable, and take a nice shot. So I think this is a good test for that. I do a minute, you can do 90 seconds. The difference between a minute and 90 is drastic. So let's go full draw stall, little black bear, 60 seconds. I hate making excuses ever. My shoulders and arms are a little sore, but it progressively got worse. So I think the last 2 bows we've reviewed have like just been tough for that full draw. It's at 85, so it's on the, you know, your holding weight is on the lower end. You know, I guess I could go to 90 and see how it does there, but some bows just, they really want to ride back on you. And the longer you hold them, the harder it gets to be stable. So on the other hand though, if you just hold them for a second, I think it's nice and stable. It's not, I mean the bow itself, which is usually the case you're in, is, you know, it's a very short hold, hopefully 10 seconds at the most, and then you get to place a shot. So in that aspect, I think the bow shoots really nice. A little bit more vibration in the hand than I've remembered from bows, recent bows. Okay, that's the only other thing. Sound, I think because of the vibration in the hand, I'm anticipating the sound to be above 90, and I kind of want to be right at 90 or below. And then the speeds too. I think the speeds are going to be right in there in the money, the sweet spot. So all around, again, I feel like I found a gem here. So and think about it, I've shot so many bows. I've redirected. I love the flagship bows. Just, it's so much fun to review and get my hands on. I love budget bows more. There's something about trying to find bows, the best quality bows for the best price, or anything, any category of anything that we've reviewed, the best quality for the best price is like my favorite and what I get most excited about. Because I know that's where most of us are. You know, we want to make a little investment, not too much. We want to get the best return out of it for the longest time possible. All right, so now we'll kind of do a quick shot. I always like to do one quick shot at 50. It's a good bow. I wasn't thinking going into Bass Pro that I was going to find an elite bow. You know, and I'm gonna keep calling it elite bow because that's what it is. So NV3 IBO 340, which is nice. We'll do our 3 arrow test. One at 500 grains, one at 440 grains, and one at 560. Little variation for you. Something I have loved, and I want to mention, is the feedback I've gotten from the viewers about the different arrow weights that people have been successful with, because I think because of my draw length, I haven't even gotten close to some of those lighter arrow weights that people say like, man, I've been hunting with a 400 grain arrow or 385, or, you know, and we get all this feedback, and it's just been interesting to hear that, man, a wide range of arrow weights have been successful in the field. There's obviously benefits to both a lighter arrow, a heavier arrow. Your draw length drastically affects what you're going to be able to shoot. But I like to give you at least some variation just so you can see, because man, now that after I've done this with backyard bows, I realize, wow, people are shooting all over the place. So we'll start off with the one that we're gonna use for the speed test. We got 70 pounds, 30-inch draw, 80% let off. Here we go. That's 278. So as I've mentioned, 280 is my target. For my arrow weights that I kind of fluctuate around, my draw length, if I can get 280, man, that's, to me, that is perfection. And that's kind of what I've come up with in my head. That's like my 350 IBO. You know, I think IBO is kind of like the max 350, you know. For me, the 280 with kind of the setups I use, that's like my perfect range that I'm kind of shooting for. Anything over is just bonus. And I'll shoot well under sometimes too, and it's still, you know, I still have success with it. So let's see if this fluctuates at all, because what I like to do is take like an average. So every 10 feet per second is going to get you a point. So if it stays in the 270s, it'll get a 7 out of 10, so 275. And if it fluctuates and kind of bumps up over 280, we'll shoot 5 shots, take that average. Just want to give it that fair speed grade, because that's one of the ones that varies the most out of all the grading that we do. So we're going to go 270s, so a 7 out of 10. All right, so now we'll go with the lighter one. 400 grain or 400 spine full metal jacket. This one is right at 440 grains, which again, that's just it's a really nice arrow weight. That's 300, so man, that is awesome. I mean, that's 300, if you can get 300, that's great. That's kind of, again, that's just bonus. Anything over 280 to me is bonus, so that's a nice weight. So then we'll go 570, or 560, I think. A little bit heavier. And that's 269, so 270. So again, that's an awesome shot too. So, I love the speeds of this bow. If you look at other bows that were similar to the Elite Omnia, that got right at 300. And if we go back up, we got the Elite Envision, 274, so that's right in between. You got the Era, that's 285. So all of these are kind of right in there. So again, I'm considering this, even though it's a Blackout, I'm calling this an Elite. But that's right in there with all the other ones that they put out. So let's do the sound test. And from the vibration that I'm getting on my end, I have a feeling this might be on the louder side, but we'll see. All right, so we added the decibel reading. And if you haven't been following along, I have an app on my phone. And I like that because it will log everything and I can kind of reference back to it, which has been neat, kind of being able to kind of remember what's been where, because can't remember everything. And then up here we got a little visual decibel reader that will kind of give you each. We'll do 3 of the same arrow. The same arrow we do the speed test with, we'll do your 300 spine, full metal jacket, 500 grains. I try to keep everything the exact same. We'll shoot 3. So that's 89.9. 89.9, that's way quieter than what I was thinking. See, that's 92.2. That's kind of like where I was thinking, because man, the vibration is like noticeable. And like, I don't comment on that a ton. Unless it's like something where you're like, oh, that's really kicking me. But this is. And that's 88.4. So let me do one more. I'm gonna do one more just because we're kind of right in the middle of those. 2 of them have been in the 88s, which is really nice. And that's like kind of on the quieter side of most of the bows that we've tested so far. And that's 90. Okay, so yeah, I was off, and I love that. That's why we always kind of verify things, because I'm off sometimes. But it was a little quieter than I was thinking. 90 and under is kind of like great. 90 and above is on the louder side. Where that factors in is the question. I think that's something that each individual hunter can do the research on their own. Where the decibel reading, how loud a bow is, will really start to affect a deer's movement through a shot. But that's something that kind of like you can take the numbers, you can test the bows, and you can kind of see for yourself. But I like to say 90 and under from the average that we've taken is on the quieter. 90 and above is on the louder. So gives you a little reference point. All right, final thoughts on the Blackout from Bass Pro. I think there's so much to archery. As you grow and learn and the more time you spend with bows, you realize, man, there is a lot. In the beginning, being around people that you can bounce ideas off of, questions, and really pick someone's brain about all of it, man, it's so beneficial to kind of be the guy that has that takes a step back and just asks questions, and having somebody to ask questions to that truly knows what they're talking about, cares about helping you. That's what you want to find. And not that it's becoming more scarce, but there's only a few places, even now as an adult, where I trust to go and know that I'm going to get some true feedback. And if I hand somebody a bow, that they're going to give it back to me better than it was. So I try to do as much as I can, but even now I kind of still need help and still ask questions, and still sometimes tuning a bow, I seek out somebody who knows more than me, and I think that's a good place to be and always be. But in the beginning, and this kind of ties into going to Bass Pro, it's hit or miss. You could find somebody. The last guy I talked to that day, he seemed like he really knew what he was talking about. I mean, he had probably been a bow hunter for his whole life, but that was one of the 5 people that worked there. The other ones I felt were had a little bit of knowledge, but minimum. And when you're buying your first bow, you're asking questions, you're trying to figure it all out. I would say find a pro shop that has staff that really knows what they're talking about. Now, there's other great things at Bass Pro. I go in there occasionally for, to pick up little things here and there, but I'm, first time bow buyers, whew, that's a tough one for me to say, yeah, I would go in there and buy your first bow and know that you're going to get the service that I would hope that you would get. So, and again, I think shooting that bow, having that single shot assessment like we do in here is very important, and you can't shoot the bow till after you buy it. Now, they do have a 60-day return policy, so if you go shoot in the back, I think you could return it before you even leave the store. That's an option. But I think shooting the bow's very important as well, to find something that's comfortable to you, that you see yourself shooting all the time. That's how you get consistent. So let's go. It's 275 on the IBO. On the speed test, where we did 70 pounds, 30-inch draw, 500 grain arrow, gets a 7 out of 10 right off of the bat. Quality and durability, I gave it an 8. You were getting a flagship elite bow. You are, from the riser to the limb pockets, limbs, the strings, those winner's choice strings, to the cams, mods, cable guard. It's a very well put together bow. You're going to get an 8 out of 10 on the quality, and you're getting it for a fantastic price. Remember that, $8.99. That's incredible for the quality of bow that you're getting. You go to appeal, 8 out of 10 for me. It's a very basic bow, and again, I know for a fact it factors in way more than you would like to admit. So that's why I throw that in there. But it's very clean. It's just very simple. I like everything Elite has done. And even though this is a Blackout made by Elite, it looks like an Elite. It's a very nice bow. It really is. 8 out of 10, though, on the appeal for me. Technology, I also gave it, a 7. I do like the 1/4-inch increments module adjustment. The set technology is what really bumps those scores up for most Elite bows. But without that, I think it's, the technology is very basic. Tri-track cam system, stuff that we've seen before. Not a ton here. 7 out of 10 on the technology, and then the performance, I also gave it a 7 out of 10. I've been shooting a unbelievable amount of just fantastic bows lately. It's really hard to get past some of those. The Mach 34, the SS 34. Man, I've just come across some incredible shooting bows. The hold on this was a little strenuous. It had some pretty good aftershock in the hand. Again, hunting wise, this is a fantastic little hunting rig. A daily repper just was not my favorite, and that's just kind of a personal preference. But performance wise, I think it's a great performing bow. But when you compare it to some of these other ones, it's it's on the lesser end. So especially with the stability in the hold, which is what I talk about all the time, the most important. And that's kind of where I saw that this was lagging a little bit. And the draw cycle was fairly harsh. Again, if I'm splitting hairs and we're comparing to some of these other amazing bows that we've put through here lately. So all around a great bow though, 74 out of 100. It gets to make up for 2 with the price tag, so 76, good grade. First bow from Basspro I've ever bought. I was very surprised and shocked, especially for the price tag. Honestly, it's gonna be really, really hard to beat. It's right there with the Torex from Hoyt, with the price tag and quality and stuff. I mean, it's an absolutely great bow. So you're getting a flagship elite for a lot less money without the name on the limbs and without that SEC technology. So, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook for all the updates of the next bows and different equipment and hunts that we're gonna do. We just put out a hunt. I just got a 12 point on opening day of Missouri. Check out that video. Check out some of the other ones that we've put out. We've done a lot of bows this year. We did a lot of bows last year that are still in circulation. Hopefully this was helpful in your bow buying process. If Bass Pro is what you're thinking you're gonna go to, you might have a little better idea of what to expect with the equipment and the staff and everything. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button, leave us a comment. I love interaction. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have so much more to come. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook for updates of anything else that we're gonna review. If there's something that you're interested in, hit those links below and check them out. And make sure, no matter what your setup is, what bow you're shooting, get your reps in on the daily. We'll see you next week.